What's up, guys? In today's update, I'm extremely excited to tell you about the new community I'm launching called the Command Center. But even if you're not interested in that, this video is still worth checking out because I'm going to be talking about what might be the biggest hidden block that is holding you back from realizing your potential. And I'm calling this block the Crucible of False Command. So let me break down how all this works, all right? The modern world, the one that we're all living in right now, is working against you. And this isn't by accident. I would say it's very clearly by design, because you're surrounded by mindless distraction designed to keep you scrolling your life away. You're fed a constant stream of darkness, outrage, and sensationalism through the news, engineered to keep you anxious, divided, and reactive. And then, of course, there's the big one, right? There's porn, the secret vice that erodes your power, virtue, connections, and masculinity more than pretty much anything else. Altogether, this amounts to a systematic spiritual attack dedicated to stripping you of agency and turning you into a vessel of stress, frustration, and dysfunction. Now, honestly, any man who's even half awake cannot deny the reality of this. But here is the little uncomfortable part, all right? Even though you can see this happening, this awareness alone, it doesn't equip you to stop it. This is where the Command Center community comes in. It's designed as really like a countermeasure against these forces that are holding you back so that you can take true and proper command over your habits, your relationships, and your life. And what makes this community special is that it's specifically designed to break you free from the Crucible of False Command. So let's explain what this crucible actually is and how it works. The way that I see it through years of coaching and working with guys is that this is a very specific trial that nearly all men must face in their journey. Sadly, it's a place where many good men enter but fail to ever move past, leaving them to be forever haunted by their unmet potential. And here's how it works, all right? First, you become aware of how compromised your life has become, of how much time you've lost, of how much strength has leaked out of you. And you get fed up with your porn use, your distractions, your unfulfilled relationships, and all that stuff. Basically, you recognize how much of your potential has gone unrealized. And that awareness, understandably, produces anger. And frankly, that anger is a sign of health, okay? Like, the awareness that something is wrong and holding you back from who you're meant to be should make you angry. A man who never feels a flare of anger toward wrongness has pretty much already surrendered, right? But the issue is how that anger is then handled. The guys who just let that anger deflate into despair and give up, well, they get stuck in a lower plane of victimhood where they basically resign themselves to passively floating through life, distracted by fear and grasping at whatever hedonistic comforts they can snag along the way. But I found that my audience, and the guys that I tend to end up working with, usually do something different with that anger energy. And they end up trying to use it to drive change, which is technically kind of admirable, right? That sounds right. And this is the point, though, where most men step into that crucible of false command. Because here's what they do, all right? They get filled with that frustration over their current predicament, and then they decide that their answer to the dysfunction is force. You decide that you will crush your weakness, that you will overpower your impulses, that you will white-knuckle discipline and turn yourself into something unbreakable. You decide that you're going to prove everyone who you really are through force of will. And for a while, it might look like it's working. You feel strong. You feel full of momentum. You feel unstoppable, right? And that's one of the most insidious parts of the Crucible of False Command. The thrill of domination that entices you into the idea that force is the optimum tool for power and that your own personal strength of will is all you need. Sadly, though, all this does is arm the trap, which then triggers the next stage, where you're inevitably forced to come to terms with your own limits. Because, as we know, life pushes back, it applies pressure, and fatigue sets in, stress accumulates, and eventually, all that discipline and focus you've been forcing, it slips. And so, you pick yourself back up, you get back at it, but your confidence and momentum has taken a bit of a hit. Then, usually quicker this time, you slip again and again, until eventually you stay down and wallow in the entropy of your own life, at least until that anger builds up enough to drive you to another doomed attempt at conquering this crucible through force. And if this were all that were happening, that'd be bad enough, I think. But the problem is that while you're living in this pattern of force and failure, your sense of self starts to fracture. It starts to feel like you've got two people inside of you. One that's driven for success and goodness, but then you've got another one who just wants to give up and escape. I call this the split mind, a Jekyll and Hyde type scenario where one moment you're striving towards your goals, and then in the next moment, for reasons unknown, you're engaging in self-sabotage, watching porn, and doing all the things that you know you shouldn't. The split mind creates a state where each side is constantly railing against the other, casting your interior world into a perpetual civil war. And once you've hit this state, even if you're trying, there's a secret part of you that knows you're just kind of going through the motions to ease your own guilt. And even though you can't bring yourself to truly give up because you are a good man, after all, you cannot escape this incessant whisper in the back of your head that's saying, oh, this is all on me and I don't know if I can win. This is the Crucible of False Command, a cycle of anger, force, and fracture that will have you feeling like you're spinning on a hamster wheel, never getting where you want and never quite feeling good enough. Luckily, the command center community that I've created exists to pull men out of the crucible of false command into true command. Not by removing struggle, not by softening discipline, but by tapping into what self-command actually is. And this journey, it starts by reforging your anger you feel about the state of your life into zeal. Like, I'm not here to tell you stop being angry, okay? Because chances are you should be angry. You're not created to live fractured, distracted, and enslaved to lesser desires. However, when anger is left raw and reactive, it destroys you and the good things around you. But when anger is rightly ordered, directed against evil and toward honoring God and grounding you in your dignity, anger is reforged into zeal. Zeal is not rage, it's disciplined fire. Masculine fire, fire that burns away what is false so that what is good can be strengthened and preserved. When you can start tapping into this power, you can begin breaking free from the trap of white-knuckled force. Because true command does not come from conflict against yourself, but through aligning yourself to what is most authentic and good. Instead of trying to overpower your impulses, you learn how to orient your life around your deeper, truer desires, the ones that actually hold authority. When you access your real God-given desires, you gain access to real authority, and then you can exert natural command over your situation. When you start moving from this place, discipline stops feeling like pushing a boulder up a hill, and it starts feeling like a natural expression of your will. And with this shift in place, something truly incredible happens. Where the path of false command leaves you split into internal warring factions, this path of dignified command makes you whole. You become able to actually understand what that part of you that you've been fighting is truly looking for and learn how to honor those desires in an authentic way. So instead of fighting yourself, you're winning yourself over. Basically, you're earning your own neurochemical support where your emotional motivations start working for you rather than against you. When you reach this state, doing what you want becomes the same thing as doing what is right. And this is where smooth, natural, sustainable progress is unlocked because it's 10 times easier to do what you want than to constantly try and force yourself to do what you should. And as good as this sounds, you might be wondering, like, well, what's the catch? Okay, well, the catch is that this is nearly impossible to build and maintain by yourself. That's why I don't only release self-study courses and programs. It's why I do coaching and I built the Command Center community. Because frankly, it's just not a good strategy to try and fight the omnipresent multi-trillion-dollar system designed to weaken you by yourself when you could embrace one of the most powerful forces of transformation humanity has ever known. Teamwork. We're social creatures. We're designed to work together. Men, committed to change, standing shoulder to shoulder, pursuing a shared vision. The force generated by brothers in arms has built and broken every single empire that has ever existed, and it can be used by you to reach the heights that God is calling you to. The point of the Command Center community is to give you access to that connective power so that both you and your entire sphere of influence can benefit. Because, as we said, the world is working against you, so you need to plug into something to counter that negative entropic force. So, what does the Command Center provide? Well, at its core, it provides 3 big things. First, it gives you a plan, a clear step-by-step process and tool set so that you can start taking command of your deepest aspect, your very masculinity, through quitting porn and installing a system that will help you create a life you do not want to escape from in the first place. Next, it provides structure, which is enacted through a weekly rhythm in the community that will keep you on track and making progress month after month and have you bouncing back stronger rather than weaker, even if you get knocked off course. And finally, it provides connection, the strength of other guys at your back. picking you up and helping you grow so that you're no longer carrying the weight alone. And that includes my personal attention, insight, and support. This is designed to be a living environment for real men ready to fight and win the spiritual battle of our age. So if you're done cycling through force and failure, if you're done being burnt down by the crucible of false command, and if you're ready to cut through the bullshit, porn, distraction, half measures, and live with clarity, strength, and alignment, become the man that God is calling you to be, then the Command Center may be exactly what you've been looking for. I've laid out the specifics of exactly how this community works, who it's for, and what's included on the About page of the community. Watch the videos there, read the details, make a decision. All right, there's no urgency here. There's no hype. All right, I'm in this for the long haul, whether it's a small room of committed men or something larger over time. So if you're ready to step out of false command and into true command, you're welcome to join, and I'd be pumped to have you. So click the link below and check it out now. Booyah.